in an organization, habits and behaviors are like culture. And in my 7 fitness areas framework, which is the roadmap I use to go from where we are to where we want to be. And it's making the shift from have, do, be to be, do, have. And culture, just like the habits, we first want to decide on the be, and then we focus on the have. If you look at an individual, it makes sense. People sometimes focus on what they want, on the have, and that can lead to corruption. It can lead to shortcuts. But when you focus on being, then the have, the do, and the have more easily falls out of that. So we've got to decide on the vision, and then what's the culture that we need? Be intentional here and decide on the culture that's needed in order to achieve that vision. Now, people will say that, and I agree, vision, culture eats strategy for lunch. And it's very difficult to change culture. And leaders will take that as an out and say, well, yeah, you can't change culture, so we have to live with it. Two things. One is, my audience is small business owners, and small business owners, ideally, before you put in a leadership team, you can have this conversation. And by deciding your culture in advance, you have a lot of say in what you do. This is the intentionality part. Once the culture is established, it's a lot more difficult, and you need the change management, you need the project, but you have to do the reinforcement, and it's almost like a parallel track that's running the organization and also changing the culture, and has to do with selection and deselection and moving people around. But ideally, the better solution is to get it right in the beginning. And then after that, we go into the environment. And in the environment, that's where I'm using some of these examples, like the gamification, the sports team metaphor. Imagine having 3 leaders on your team, and one leader has a family metaphor. Another leader works out of sort of a political metaphor where they're constantly pitting their people against each other. And the other one is working out of a team metaphor. When those employees are having lunch together and chatting, you can see where the toxicity comes up, because each one of them has a model of the world in terms of the organization. Each one of them has a model. And as they describe with that model, there's going to be conflicts, but people aren't going to go back to the leader and say, "Hey, can you help me work through this conflict?" What they're going to do is they're going to try to match, make it fit. And now you have this hodgepodge of perspectives that can create, first of all, a poor understanding. And then that poor understanding can lead to toxicity, because inputs no longer equal outputs.